Welcome to another episode of Still Kicking with Billy Hauer. It is April 18th, 2017, and we're recording the show a little late today because it's spring in the real estate business, and Pete is a pretty good realtor, and he is pretty busy right now. So we've had to be as patient as we can be, and we have been. And this is Still Kicking with Billy Hauer, where we resist global fascism and expose the lies of our elites if we can. And we are coming to you from lush green Louisville, Kentucky. And the Kentucky Derby Festival is out of the run. It is Thunder Weekend here in Louisville. And if you're not from Louisville, then you may not know that is an orgy of fireworks and flying military hardware. And it's graphic nightmare as usual. This is the 11th episode of Still Kicking. And I still don't know what I'm doing, but I persevere. Onward through the fog. My gig at Fonte's Coffee is a dream come true. It really is. There's really great and fun crowds, lots of laughter, and lots of the songs you love. And they've got really good wines and beers, I'm told, by the people that come. And, of course, great coffee that's roasted on site. And lots of good things to eat. So it's at Grinstead and Lexington. Come on down. It's a lot of fun. If you're not from Louisville, well, fly in. Drive in, hitchhike in, and come to the show because it's fun. Well, if I'm still alive to do next week's show, I will no longer be in my 60s because my birthday is coming up. And next week's show is going to be Monday, right? Due to Kentucky Derby events. Pete thinks we can do it Monday, and we may do it earlier, but we'll try to do a show. If not, it'll be on the next Tuesday. But we do have Derby events coming up. It is Derby here, and that's like a national holiday in Louisville, Kentucky. On today's show, we're going to be talking about our bomber-in-chief. And also on this week's Fascist Spotlight, open borders make our fascist corporate elite quiver with excitement and throb with lust. And in today's Luddite Lounge, out of that Pandora's box called digital technology, a doll holocaust in Germany. Ordered to find my friend Kayla and destroy her. We'll be talking about that at the end of the show. And right before we came on, I heard about this terrorist attack in Fresno, and evidently they caught the shooter. And the guy said, Allah Akbar. And I guess, Trump might have a point about better vetting. I don't know. But before we get into the fascist spotlight, Trump bombed a Syrian air base with Tomahawk missiles, as you may know. And he was praised by the establishment, including much of the establishment press. After all, chemical weapons were used, so there was great justification for it. He kind of backed up that red line that Obama talked about in a way. Well, I think he liked all that praise. And I think he liked being popular. It made him feel strong. A good feeling, And before you know it, Trump drops the Moab, the mother of all bombs, 22,000-pound bomb, 11 tons. It was a precision-guided bomb. It was fairly pricey, but we're not sure about the price, but we saw some figures. The target of the bomb was the Islamic State stronghold. It was a position in Afghanistan. And it looks like revenge for the death of the U.S. Special Forces soldier who was killed days earlier in that same area. And it's hard to keep count of all the air wars that the United States is conducting at this very moment. Now, I know there's Iraq, there's Syria, there's Afghanistan, and there's Yemen and Somalia, and there may be some they're not telling us about. But anyway, all these air wars mean lots of bombs and profitable bombs. When you think about what a Tomahawk missile cost or a Hellfire missile, and some of these big bombs that we're dropping. And by the way, I saw a thing in the Wall Street Journal about how the missile makers and the bomb makers are really busy and their production lines are humming because the Pentagon is running out of bombs. We've been dropping so many bombs on so many people. We haven't dropped so many bombs since Cambodia. Anyway, they are profitable. It really is like flinging Corvettes and Ferraris and Porsches at the enemy. That's how much they cost. And wouldn't it be great to be in a business where you make something that expensive with such a big markup and you can only use it once? You know, a Ferrari, you can only drive that one day and then you got to buy another one. Well, it's a very low-risk form of warfare and very high profits. There's been thousands of bombs dropped this year, from what I've read in the Wall Street Journal this year, and millions of tons of explosives. And most of these bombs are the wide radius dumb bombs, by far. There's been thousands of those, and far fewer of the small radius smart bombs. And I read all this in the Wall Street Journal. It seems like technology has taken the bravery out of war and warfare. And it's making it more likely that war will be waged because, you know, you don't have to be brave to do it. You don't have to lose your sons and your daughters. And because it's so easy to wage and it's so low risk, it looks like we have perpetual war now. I mean, since I was born in 1957, we've been at perpetual war. There's been, I don't even think, a week where we didn't have some military operation going on. And of course, with perpetual war comes solid financial results. And now it's time for the fascist spotlight. You know, the fascist spotlight is where we like to shine the light on examples of American fascism. We're going to talk about something more general today, but if you don't know what a fascist is, it was invented by fascism was invented by Benito Mussolini in Italy in the early 20th century. And he said, I wished I'd called it corporatism because all it is merging the corporation with the state. And that means the corporation takes over the state and the corporation regulates itself because that's what states do. They regulate commerce, they regulate our morality. That's what they do. So it's great to be able to write the laws that govern you, and I'm sure corporations are having a great time, and they are. Look how rich they're getting, and look how poor their workers are getting. Anyway, the greatest fascist that ever lived, besides Mussolini, was probably Milton Friedman. He dreamed of open borders. He's our global economist. He dreamed of open borders and all the cheap labor a corporation could want. Perpetual cheap labor and serfdom for American working class citizens. And of course, cheaper lawn maintenance for those sprawling estates of our elites and higher profits for their corporations. Right now, evidently, 1.5 million illegal aliens are allowed into or legal aliens are allowed into our country per year. Or maybe that's legal and illegal. I'm not sure. But anyway, 1.5, mostly legal per year. And Milton Friedman famously said, and he was the free market high priest economist, the one that got this whole globalization really going. He said, quote, you can't have both relatively open immigration and a generous welfare state. And of course, his solution was he preferred to abolish the welfare state rather than control immigration. Well, you know, if you did that, I think all American workers would be reduced to peasantry. I mean, you can just forget poverty. It would just be peasantry at that point. Senator Tom Cotton, the much vilified Republican from Arkansas, and Senator David Perdue, and also a Republican, have introduced a bill to cut legal immigration in half. And you don't hear a lot about that in the press. I read about the announcement, and I have not read about it since. You may remember that Hillary Clinton, in one of the, the computer dumps, it was her speech to Goldman Sachs. I don't know if she gave it up voluntarily or if it was hacked, but in the speech to Goldman Sachs, she said that if she could, she would prefer to have open borders. Well, I've done a little research, and it would seem that we would have tens of millions, or maybe over 100 million, would show up in our country probably the first month if we really open the borders like they say they want to do. And they do say they want to do that. Well, the first month they will all be looking for an apartment, and they will drive up rents. You think your rent's high now? Just wait till they open the borders. And they'll all be looking for jobs, and they will drive down wages. And you think you're making hardly anything now? Wait till they open the borders. You know, you think life isn't hard enough now for American workers? Well, if we open the borders, the minimum wage will quickly become the maximum wage. Happy dreams in our corporate boardrooms. They do dream, and they do a lot of propaganda. The think tanks are hard on this open borders thing. And of course, the globalists are really on Trump. But Trump seems to be coming through on the immigration issue. He has issued an executive order saying that they've got to really enforce the laws that are on the books and start deporting a lot of the illegal immigrants. And I hope they do it humanely, but I'm not against it because we have so many legal and illegal immigrants. It is suppressing wages. Oh, and what he's done is he's looking into the visas for the tech workers, the M1B, whatever they are, visas, and he's really going to search out the fraud in that, and that's good. I'm glad they're going to really, at least hold the law. They're going to, uphold the law, and that would be great. So I'm not totally against controlling immigration. I think these trade bills also are part of the reason wages are so low and why the middle class is on its knees. All right, so there's the fascist spotlight. The fascists, they love cheap labor, so they love open borders. Now it's time for my favorite segment, the Luddite Lounge. German authorities have said the doll called My Friend Kayla is an illegal eavesdropping device. They've ordered parents to find Kayla and destroy her. That's how they put it in the Wall Street Journal. They have banned its sale and its purchase and its ownership. And they say it's protection for the weakest in society, our children. And it's made by a China-based Genesis Toys. Now, there are many other internet-connected toys like Hello Barbie and Dino and toy robots and toy tanks. But, it just reminds me that nearly all digital devices are eavesdropping devices. And the Germans are very sensitive about all this eavesdropping because it was done under Hitler and the reasons were nefarious. And I tell you what, the reasons today may not be as nefarious as Hitler's, but they may. We do have a government that tortures, and we do have a government that loves to drop bombs on people. So, if you trust our government, well, you're kind of crazy. You shouldn't. You shouldn't trust any government. You should watch them. There should be checks and balances. Anyway, I do think nearly all digital devices are eavesdropping devices. Computers are, smartphones are, TVs are, your Fitbit is, your iPad is, and now your toys are. And I'm glad that the Germans are doing this, but I doubt anybody will follow them because we want to be surveilled. And we want to pay monthly for that supervision. But not me. Because, I have read sociological studies that say that when people know they're being surveilled, they don't speak freely and they don't act freely. And if you're not doing those two things, are you really free? And you may not realize that you're censoring yourself, but you probably are. If you're even aware that you're being watched at all times, even when your computer is off, even when your phone is off. Anyway, I just read that Google has bought 1,210 acres near Reno, Nevada, in an industrial park for $29 million, and it's for a data center. It's near Tesla's $5 billion battery factory, where they make those giant lithium batteries. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to get lithium on your hands. Now I wonder, can you breathe lithium when your battery bursts into flames? I've read that lithium is very, very toxic, and they use very small amounts in psychiatry for bipolar disorder, I've read. I don't know if it's true. I may have misremembered it. But I'd like to know more about lithium. Maybe we can get Pete on Google to find out more about that. Anyway, I digress. It's they're building this data center, which is basically a vast warehouse of energy gobbling servers. And they're all being air conditioned in the hot desert sun. So this is going to be quite a contributor to global warming. But, you know, Google is very secretive about what their power usage is. So just to store your ever-expanding dossier, thanks to data provided by toys like our friend Kayla. So anyway, thank you for watching another episode of Still Kicking with Billy Hauer. We will be back hopefully on Monday. That is, if I'm still kicking. Until then, live up, be free, and remember, I love you. Let's dance.